Hey guys, in this month's Historical Fiction 101, I'm going to be giving you recommendations about the Crusades. So, the Crusades. Let me define the Crusades for you guys if you don't know already. You probably already know though, but I'll just do it anyway. So I got this brief little summary on Wikipedia, and this is what it says. A series of religious wars sanctioned by the Church between the 11th and 16th centuries with the aim of capturing Jerusalem from Islamic rule to re-establish Christian territory as well as gain political advantage. So yeah, the Crusades. The Crusades is definitely a very, very popular choice when it comes to historical fiction. There's so much you can do with it. And not only is it popular with literature, it's definitely very popular with like movies. I've definitely seen a lot of movies that take place during the Crusades. So just a note about how I chose these books. Like the definition said for the Crusades took place, a pretty long range of time, the 11th to 16th century. So yeah, a big huge span of time there. So a lot of book possibilities here. So the way I chose these books, some of the books, they downright literally take place, in Jerusalem, somewhere over there, like during warfare and the battles and whatnot. But then some of the books that I've chosen, they take place maybe in England, away from the battle, but still the plot is heavily affected by the Crusades in some fashion, if that makes sense. So yeah, I have hopefully a wide variety of books here. Not too expansive, I suppose, because it definitely seems like when people do write about the Crusades, the popular choice is to talk about Richard the Lionheart and Eleanor of Aquitaine, So let's get going. I have 12 books here that I would like to recommend for you guys if you're a fan of the Crusades. The first recommendation that I have here is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. And I'm just going to read what I wrote here, you guys, in my notes to make this video go by quicker. This book, it takes place in 1327, and it's about Franciscans in an Italian abbey who are suspected of heresy. And this man, Brother William, he's called in to investigate, but the mission is quickly overshadowed by 7 bizarre deaths, leading him to secret symbols and coded manuscripts. So it almost sounds as if you like something like Da Vinci Code, it kind of sounds like The Name of the Rose might be something for you. I definitely want to check this out. It sounds really good. Next, I have Iron Fire by David Ball. So this takes place in the 16th century. It follows this man named Niccolo Borg, and he's seized by some slavers. He's sold to the court of the Muslim world, where he is transformed into one of the Sultan's deadliest commanders. That sounds pretty cool. Next, I have Knights of the Black and White by Jack White. And this is actually a trilogy of books exploring the start of the Knights Templar after the First Crusade and how they continue to grow in power and influence. And it definitely sounds like this book is very heavily focused on like the military battles and whatnot. Next, I have 2 books here by Sharon K. Penman called Lionheart and A King's Ransom. And these take place during the Third Crusade, focusing on the sons of Henry Plantagenet and Eleanor of Aquitaine. And we see Richard the Lionheart going on crusade to the Holy Land to fight the Saracens, while back in England his younger brother John is attempting to usurp the crown. And yeah, the second book focuses primarily on Richard's capture by the Saracens and the high ransom placed on him, and Eleanor of Aquitaine trying to get her son back. And yeah, this is actually more than just these 2 books. This is actually a longer series, but these 2 books are her latest books in the series, and these 2 I would rather read rather than read the whole series, because these two sound really good in particular. Next, I have The Religion by Tim Willocks. And this takes place during the 15th century, focusing on the siege of Malta and the ongoing struggle between the Ottomans and the Europeans. And it follows this guy named Matthias Tannhauser, who's sent to infiltrate a Turkish camp. And I guess he has this divine crisis within him, because it sounds as if he's Christian, but he also starts converting to the Muslim faith. And then moving on, Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine is a very popular choice, you guys. I'm just going to give you a little rundown of some of the books here. There's so many books of her, so I just chose a couple here. We have Captive Queen by Alison Weir, which I have personally read and really enjoyed. We have The Summer Queen by Elizabeth Chadwick, and I think this is actually a trilogy focusing on Eleanor of Aquitaine. And then we have The Courts of Love by Jean Plady, who is a very popular historical fiction writer back in the day. And then we also have The Queen's Pawn by Christy English, and I've also read this book as well, and it was pretty good. And yeah, I mean, the list goes on. There's even a Listopia list on Goodreads. If you type in Eleanor of Aquitaine, you'll just get a huge list of books about her. So yeah, this is just a little small sampling, you guys. Next is The Jester by James Patterson and Andrew Gross. And I wasn't even expecting a James Patterson novel to make this list, you guys. I thought he just mostly wrote contemporary fiction, so I was really surprised to see that he had a historical fiction book. And it actually sounds pretty good. And it is a thriller, you know, very typical of James Patterson, of course. And something disillusioned by the Crusades, a man returns home to discover his village has been ransacked, his wife abducted by these riders who wear these black crosses on their chests. And these men are searching for a mysterious relics. I'm assuming this man, he has to save his wife, he has to deal with these mysterious riders, who I think might be Templars. And yeah, a missing treasure of some sort. Next is another book by Elizabeth Chadwick called The Falcons of Monchabard. And this takes place during the 12th century, and it follows a Norman knight. And in order to restore his honor, he has been sleeping around with the king's mistress, which is a no-no, you guys. So in order to restore his honor, he decides to become a crusader. And the last book here on my list of recommendations, The King's Witch by Cecilia Holland. And this is about a female healer who accompanies Richard the Lionheart and his sister and wife to the Holy Land during the Third Crusade. So that's it for recommendations on the Crusades, you guys. I hope this was pretty expansive. Like I said, a lot of popular choices. A lot of authors really like to focus on Richard the Lionheart and Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine, so I tried my best to find other books that took place outside of that particular crusade. But in the comments below, have I left any books out? Do you guys have any recommendations for me about books that take place during the Crusades? So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.